Hey everybody, it must be Thursday because this is a live, fresh edition of Dodgers Territory. We are your hosts. That is Clint Pasillas. I am Alanna Rizzo, taking you through the next 30 minutes of all things Dodgers. Thanks for being here. Make sure you like us, subscribe, smash that like button, tell your friends. We appreciate you guys very much. For those that are here, what's up? For those that are going to listen later, thank you as well for being here. All right, Clint, today's show, at least off the top, this big ticket item is all about the Roki review, Sasaki's first outing. Let's get there.
Let's do it.
I have to say, I don't think he disappointed. I was very much looking forward to how he handled things outside of the bubble, if you will. Pretty good final line, 3 innings, again, back-to-back, backing up Yamamoto. 2 hits, 1 walk, no earned runs. You got to love that. And you also got to love the fact that he had 5 punch-outs. I mean, that's a pretty good final line for a guy that is pitching in the big league level for the first time in a spring training game. Again, I don't put any emphasis so much on results, but it was good to see him get out there outside of that, controlled environment, if you will.
Yeah, I think he looked really good. I think we saw some nerves early on in the outing, but he found it. The fastball sitting around 98, 99. The splitter looking as disgusting. Forkball really is what it should be called, but we'll call it the splitter. Quieted anybody who had concerns about Sasaki and where he's at and how the Dodgers were kind of, we could say, hiding him in the background. Of course, like you had mentioned, the B game on the backfield against the intra-squad plus the White Sox. Well, here you had a team that was trying to beat his ass down, and they could not. And some dudes, obviously a couple guys gave the baseball a ride, a couple foul balls, very, very loud strikes. But otherwise, when he decided to turn it on and dominate, he did that. So seeing Roki with stuff versus big league hitters, it was impressive. And it makes me feel a whole lot better about a starting rotation I already felt pretty dang good about.
It's funny because you talk about the starting rotation. We'll throw up that graphic here in just a second. But what I like about the fact is that many are saying, Clint, that Roki Sasaki is the best in terms of stuff of all 3 of the Japanese-born pitchers that the Dodgers have, which is pretty hard to say. So do you think that in his spring training debuts or the stuff that you saw last year with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, do you think that Yama looked as good as Roki did in his first, if we're going to go ahead and compare? Because that's what we do on these shows, right? Yeah. Let's just compare everybody.
I mean, that's what we have. We only have history to work off of, and Yamamoto definitely was... I think he had a little bit more struggles. I think there was also just a lot. When you're talking about... the price difference between the two pitchers, $325 million or whatever it was for Yamamoto, and all the expectations. He was also working on some things. The Dodgers were kind of working on changing his delivery a little bit. He's also getting used to the baseball, was Yamamoto last year, so the numbers weren't very good. And then we also saw that in his debut outing, Game 2 against the Padres. 5 earned runs, 1 inning, and then he's out. Of course, everything got better after that point. So I think the Dodgers kind of learned a little bit about how to get some of these guys over here, acclimated, adjusted to the baseball, the mound, the environment. The Dodgers players have been doing a great job getting these guys acclimated as well. We've talked before about, Mookie Betts working with somebody like Hae-Sung Kim, kind of getting the crowd involved out there at Camelback Ranch. Come on, let's go Dodgers, all that kind of stuff. The Dodgers have learned a lot on how to manage game situations or manage situations in here in spring training, but also even last year heading into the postseason and all that stuff we've talked about. Hey, leave the wives, leave the girlfriends at home. Let's focus on being here. Let's be boys for the next 3 weeks and try to go win this thing. And now here they are a year later, using all the information they have to try to get Sasaki in the best spot to potentially start Game 2 against the Cubs there for the Dodgers in Tokyo.
All right. Well, Jason Giannaros wants to call it the splurk ball, the splitter and the fork ball. So that's fine, Jason. You better go ahead and trademark that bad boy, splurk ball. Let's see what Roki Sasaki himself, Clint, had to say after his first spring training outing as a Dodger.
もちろん甘いボール自体はやっぱり打たれますし、スプリットもいいとこ見逃したりとか、そういうところもあったんですけど、自分のいいボール投げたら抑え押し込めたり、空振り取れたりっていう そういう収穫もあったので、まあその両方こう今日感じれてよかったなと思います。
A couple of things I noticed with big league hitters, they do hit mistakes and they do take some splits that I threw, but I did feel really good about being able to, jam some hitters, and as long as I throw quality pitches, I should be able to get these guys out.
And that's what we saw.
All right. Thank you, Roki Sasaki, and thank you, Will Ireton. Will the Thrill. It's one thing for Roki to say what he said. Of course, you want to hear it from the horse's mouth, if you will, or actually through Will Ireton, but that's another time. How about what Dave Roberts, Clint, had to say about Roki Sasaki's outing? He was saying basically the best that they've seen from him. I mean, you talk about the fact that we have seen him in bullpen sessions. We've seen him in live BP. We've also known that they're kind of coddling him, if you will, for lack of a better phrase. But this is the first time that we've seen him in compete mode, according to Dave Roberts, and it's the best that we've seen him. You've got to feel good about what Skip had to say.
Yeah, when Dave feels good, I'm going to feel good about somebody out there. Also, sometimes we know Dave has to kind of guide these people into confidence, but I feel really, really good about Sasaki and where he's at. The stuff looks nasty. The stuff looks as advertised. We saw this graphic going around online. The release point for all of the pitches had the slider, splitter, and four-seamer going. Did Roki against the Reds the other night. And the release point, that hand is staying right there. It's staying about in the same spot. That's telling you the deception is there. Batters are going to have a hard time, a very difficult time reading this baseball coming out of the hand. And again, we saw it. It's some of the pitches, some of the at-bats. One of the guys looking absolutely foolish, just throwing a sword out there with his bat, trying to hopefully make some sort of contact and stay alive. But the baseball's 4 or 5 inches under the bat. The stuff was disgusting. Roki is disgusting, and to like you said, to think that he could be somebody who ends up being the best of the 3 Japanese stars on this team, it's got to be daunting for everybody else in the league to think about.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary proposition. And think about the fact, of course, that the opposition doesn't have much of a book on Roki Sasaki. I mean, of course, you can watch all the video that you want. You can go back to the World Baseball Classic. You can see what he's done in terms of videos and those types of things. But until you're standing in the box and you're facing this guy that has that splitter that Clint talked about, that has that fastball, obviously, and they're going to continue to work with him and mold him into the pitcher he really wants to be at the big league level. Remember, he could have waited to have been posted and made a lot more money, but he wanted to get out of Japan and pitch in the big leagues. And he's a work in progress. He is a mold that the Dodgers will continue to mold into what they think he can be in terms of talent-wise. But how scary it could be with the 3-headed monster of the Japanese-born pitchers, not to mention all of the other starters in the Dodgers rotation. Clint, you and I talked about it with Sarah, our producer. Throw up that graphic as far as the options for starters in the Dodgers rotation. It's disgusting. No lack of star power and no lack of talent. Of course, the factor is how healthy is everybody going to be. We get that. But look at this starting rotation option as far as that is concerned. And holy moly, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot, a bounty of options there for this team. Of course, a couple of guys not going to be ready for opening day, Clayton Kershaw, Shohei Ohtani, but they still have enough pitching. I think we can talk about that when we come back, but first we should hear from our buddies Eric Kratz and Scott Braun about Arena Club.
FT fam, if you love ripping packs of cards, there is a modern way to do that now on Arena Club with their slab packs. And Kratz, I know you love ripping slab packs and getting that sweet card that you've always been looking for.
Yeah, and you don't have to go through all the other ones, all the Kratz cards that are in there. Bang, you just get the big one, the one that you're just peeking right around the corner when you open that pack, the one you expect to get.
Also, Arena Club will make you an instant offer for your card based on its market value. You'll get an instant offer of 90% of the estimated value, so you can accept it on the spot, simple, fast, and risk-free. Use that cash to buy more slab packs, and you can get your cards officially graded by Arena Club. So go check it out right now, FT fam. You can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and then use the code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/FOUL. Code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase. Get after it, FT fam.
A big thank you to Arena Club for helping support the show, helping support the network. Guys, click on the links, do those kind of things. It also helps us keep things going and keeps a light on here at Dodgers territory and so on and so forth. But Alanna, we were talking before the show about the fact that this team, we got a couple more days, couple more games left before they need to really be in Tokyo mode, and we'll get back to the rotation options there. It feels like we've seen everybody that's going to well, of course, we've seen everybody that's going to play an important role for this team on opening day, and starting rotation should be about 5 starters. I will throw that graphic back up because it's fun. It should be the 5 starters. We know Blake Snell's going to be in there. We know Tyler Glasnow is going to be there. We know Yoshinobu Yamamoto is getting that opening day nod. Sasaki probably one step closer after that. But then you have a little bit more competition for that number 5 spot. I think Landon Knack, he ends up on the opening day roster. I think he ends up in a bullpen role, which we'll talk about more later. But look in between Gonsolin and May, just as it was when we entered spring training. These are a couple of guys that are fighting for a role, battling for a role. D May getting the ball again today at Camelback or wherever they're playing. But I want to point out, we have not talked a whole lot about the Catman this offseason and into spring training. Tony Gonsolin has looked pretty good in his small sample size here in spring training, and I think he needs more love. He's somebody who was an all-star in 2022, is very, very good when he's healthy, and he has been healthy longer in his career than Dustin May. What do you think about the
I
competition?
think that's like half a dozen on one side, 6 on the other, right? I mean, they both have had their injury woes, but I will say this: I would be shocked if it wasn't Dustin May in that 5th spot. Obviously, Tony Gonsolin is going to be on the Dodgers opening day roster. That to me is a given, but I would be shocked if it wasn't Dustin as the 5th starter. And again, it might be on a rotation basis. I think obviously both of these guys have to get built up. I don't think any spots are locked except 1 through 4. So it may be, you might see a rotating, a revolving door there, if you will, in terms of the 5th spot. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's D May there in that 5th spot, just because he's looked really good. And the fact that he is healthy, thank goodness, he's okay. And I think maybe Tony Gonsolin, although I believe Dustin May is built better for the bullpen, I think Gonsolin comes out of the bullpen at least to start the year. Why do you think it is that we're not talking as much about Gonsolin? Do you think that's because, as you said earlier today in our pre-pro meeting, that he's doing his job? So since he's not ruffling feathers, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's somebody that is showing up to work, ready to play, ready to work, ready to do his job, and just kind of be the middle reliever for this Dodgers starting rotation. We know middle relievers, when they're doing their job, you don't hear shit from them. You don't have to hear from them. They don't talk to media. They don't, have a bunch of questions thrown their way. So Tony Gonsolin, also just generally a quiet dude as it is, doesn't want the spotlight, and he is not coming off of all of the headlines that Dustin May has had over the last couple of years. Tony, it's one elbow injury, it's Tommy John. He also pitched through that injury part of 2022 because the team was so riddled with injuries on the pitching staff, so he kind of took one and wore it for the team. But he, again, to me, I have the reverse view of where you're at when it comes to the 5th starter competition. Tony, in my opinion, is the lock, just because, like you also said there, I think Dustin May's future profiles better in the bullpen. It seems like his body is not ready for the rigors of an every 5th day, every 6th day, trying to go out there and let it eat for 5 or 6 innings. You just give him a fastball and a slider. Give me 25 pitches every couple of days, and Dustin May can absolutely dominate, as were Tony Gonsolin is somebody who, again, has been an all-star, has led the team 16-1 a couple years ago, in ERA, just a bit over 2. When he's right, he's good. He's another dude with the forkball, fastball, and he has the ability to give this team length and stay in the rotation, and that's a big thing. I don't think they want to have to keep bouncing back and forth, getting different guys in and out of there. Sure, they're going to need to, and injuries are going to happen, but if you have one guy just kind of be there day in, day out, week in, week out, I think that's something that really, really helps Tony, that when he's healthy and he's right, he is very, very good. And to stash him in a 5 or 6 spot for this team, whew, that is sexy.
What do you think about this? Just some unconventional thinking, kind of thinking outside the box here, if you will. We talked a lot about how the Dodgers last season, we're going to talk to Dave Roberts about this specifically on Monday when you and I are out there exclusively with the sit down with Dave. We're doing a foul territory from Dodgers Camp 2 on Monday, so stick with us for that. But what do you think about the non-traditional approach of perhaps piggybacking those two in terms of maybe Dustin May comes out and gives you 2 innings, and then you get 5 from the Catman? Or he gives you the 25, 30 pitches that you're talking about. And I don't know. I mean, is that, you don't want to blow out your bullpen, obviously. And you only have a certain amount of roster spots and a certain amount that you can have in the lineup and in the bullpen and all those types of things. But is there a piggyback situation in your mind for these two to get them built up, to keep them healthy and those types of things?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more than just for these two. And I think I'll preface this by saying, the days are gone of us seeing Dodgers pitchers at least go out there for 30 starts and 200 innings. Those days are dead. This team has the amount of starting pitching that they acquired and picked up along the way, whatever it is. They have all these arms for a reason. They want to keep people happy, healthy on the mound. And what we saw in Roki's debut, hey, before him for 4 innings was a Yoshinobu Yamamoto appearance. And they have enough arms. They have enough length arms with Dustin May, with Gonsolin, with Landon Knack. Ben Kasparius is somebody we'll talk about in a second who looks to be a lock for this team, but can give this team multiple innings as well. We could see that be a way, especially early in the season, to keep starters healthy and more kind of slower in their buildup because it was a short spring training. We could see them kind of go to that piggyback route, maybe 4 or 5 innings for your starter. Then you have a bulk guy give you 2 or 3. And the bullpen itself is super thin right now when they're going to be missing guys like Evan Phillips, Michael Kopech. Let's throw a Michael Grove in there, Brusdar Gratterall. There's a lot of injuries that keep them from some of those high leverage back into the bullpen guys. So this is where those starters, the more built up dudes, could help out and bridge that gap to a 9th inning and to a win and all that kind of stuff. So I think we could see very, very creative, see the Dodgers get even more creative than we're used to when it comes to starting pitching.
Does a healthy Clayton Kershaw, who appears to be ready to return to a big league mound in June, does a healthy Clayton Kershaw complicate this whole situation even more?
Well, I mean, it feels like a good problem to have when you could just plug in a future Hall of Famer in the form of a Clayton Edward Kershaw, and he's going to go out there and give you how many innings and how many more strikeouts he needs to reach 3,000. Complicate? Probably. I think it complicates it to a degree. But listen, we know how things go for the Dodgers these days. There's going to be injuries. Tyler Glasnow missed, the last 2 months of the season, 3 if you count the postseason.
Yeah, he was super happy about them shutting him down too. Super psyched about that.
It was a little bit awkward. Blake Snell missed some time last year. Yamamoto missed some time last year. Roki Sasaki hasn't pitched over, I think, 125, 129 innings in a year in his life. Tony Gonsolin missed all of last year. Dustin May has missed the better part of the last 5 seasons or 4 seasons.
The point is that I think you're trying to make, you never have enough arms.
You never have enough arms. Just like you told us last year, about almost a year ago, as we near the 1-year point of Dodgers territory. You can never have too much pitching, starting pitching. This team did not want to have to deal with what they dealt with last year. And that's what Andrew Friedman told us, told everybody a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago. Like, we don't want to be buyers at the trade deadline. So let's get a bunch of people. And, if we're looking at Clayton Kershaw as a complication, I love to see that for this team.
No doubt. Anytime Kershaw is in the mix, I would, and just even seeing that video, thank you to Bill Plunkett for posting that so we could steal it. I'm going to be taking so much video when I'm out there on Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to be obnoxious, and I can't wait to see the team and all the things and the fans. And if you guys are in Glendale, by the way, those of you listening and watching to Dodgers territory right now, come and say hi to Clint and I, and AJ and the whole Foul Territory crew is going to be out there too. We'd love to see you and thank you in person for being a part of our show. All right, so the bullpen. We thought, I swear to you, on Monday, this is why baseball gods are like, ha ha. Watch this. So on Monday, I said I felt better about this bullpen than I have felt about a Dodgers bullpen going into a season in recent memory, right? Well, now it's a little bit disintegrated because we have some news, obviously, that Kopech threw his first bullpen. When the team goes to Japan, Evan Phillips will stay back. He's going to face hitters. So we knew this, though. He's healthy. Yeah. He's just not built up. He could be active by second week of April. So, he's going to miss the first couple of weeks of the regular season. Ben Kasparius, who I know you've been high on him, Clint. You're really good about the young guns coming up and the rookies, if you will. At least the guys that don't have a ton of time with this organization. Yeah. He's probably going to be on the opening day roster as a multi-inning option. Do you still feel as good about this bullpen as you did before?
As we did before, no, because you're missing Michael Kopech, you're missing Evan Phillips, you're missing Brusdar Graterol. So it's definitely not the setup that you would like to see, but it's also opening day. It's the month of April. It's not something where I'm frightened to see Benny Caps getting some important innings early in the season for this team. Same with Landon Knack, who's going to most likely make that opening day roster. Knack has not had a great spring numbers wise. We know these guys are out here working on different things, but at some point you need to have 13 pitchers on the roster to go along with the 13 position players, and he is but somebody that is healthy is Landon Knack, where we learn now another name missing in action. We will not have Edgardo Henriquez as an option for this team for at least 4 to 6 weeks.
What the hell is a mishap away from the field? Is this
Dave
like when Tom Brady tripped over his dog in the driveway, when Clint Barmas was carrying a slab of deer up the stairs and hurt himself?
Good pull.
What are we doing?
By the way, that's a good pull.
What are we doing?
Dave not happy. He did not want to talk about this. Reporters pressed him after the game to get some more information, and this is what we got. He had a mishap away from the field, and Alanna, you could read Dave, you could know when he's not the most happy fellow out there. Chances are it was something not bright that Henriquez did, maybe kicking something out of frustration, or maybe a speculation. We don't know what happened. Maybe he's riding a bike and fell off his bike or something.
Like
whatever it is. Exactly. Whatever it is, he broke a bone in his foot, and he's going to miss at least the first month and a half of the season, which is a big setback for him.
If you're Edgardo Henriquez, I'm just spitballing here. Wouldn't you put yourself in a bubble and just make sure that you don't do anything in the world to jeopardize an opportunity to pitch for the Dodgers and break camp with this club? What are you doing?
Yeah, ideally, you want to be as safe as possible, but also you want to go live your life. And again, we don't know what happened.
If you're not Clayton Kershaw, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, those big names, Shohei Ohtani, you don't get to live a life. You sit there like this.
Just sit there until you're called upon. Good point from Jason in the comments, pointing out that Anthony Banda also had the incident last year where he was upset and punched a wall, broke a bone in his hand. But thankfully, he came back. Listen, these dudes are human. They get frustrated. Men get frustrated, and we decide to punch and kick things to make us feel better. Doesn't mean it's right.
But women, I love it because women are the emotional ones.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah.
Anyhow, all right.
This feels like a good conversation. Let's keep this one going.
Back to the bullpen situation. Again, I still feel like we have enough arms, and this is a team that is so good about the mixing and the matching of using their arms in a different way. And this goes back to not the V for victory, but the V for versatility, because they may have to. I always used to call Ross Stripling an accordion, and I think I've told this story before. If I have, I apologize, but it is what it is. I always used to call Ross an accordion because they would smash him together when they needed him to come out of the bullpen or just give him an inning or two. And then they would stretch him out when they all of a sudden, oh, by the way, you're back in the starting rotation again. I think there's a lot more of this happening in Major League Baseball right now. There's certain guys that are obviously bona fide starters. Just ask Alex Wood if he wants to go to the bullpen.
Are they together again, by the way? Because they've been on the same teams for the last 3 or 4
I don't think
seasons.
so, because Ross is with the Royals, I think, on a minor league deal,
and
I
Woody
don't think
is
Alex
signed. Yeah.
Bring
back Woody.
I don't think so.
Bring back
Kyle Farmer's with the Rockies. So the whole
Who would have thought, by the way, Kyle Farmer becoming a major league shortstop?
Oh yeah, that too.
Dude who
That
came
too.
up as a catcher hit that what was it, a pinch hit double to walk off the game or whatever it was in his debut. I think it was his debut. Some crazy ass shit happened with some of those guys. By the way, I love Ross,
Yeah.
and he was big fan of that role he had with the Dodgers, of course. Big fan.
Well, I love Ross because he's just a quality human being. Anyway,
Yes,
the point is, a lot has changed in 3 days, and that I think is the bigger picture of what we take away from this, right? Like we're so set on like, okay, we have these pieces, but you have to be able, as I mentioned, that versatility. You have to be able to bend,
adapt, overcome,
and
survive,
bend because you have to. And then again, we're really going to talk to Dave about this. Clint and I are going to go with our producers and talk about certain situations over the course of the 5-game series in the World Series that Dave really had to, manage better than he's ever managed before. We're looking forward to that. All right, we're running out of time here. Let's get to last licks. All right, I always appreciate our friends at Foul Territory letting us do this. This is Ruby, and Ruby was living in a backyard, very neglected and alone, didn't get a lot of social time, but she's a sweet girl. She's in a foster home right now. She is in Inglewood in a wonderful foster home. She's 4 to 5 years old. She needs an adopter. She's great with dogs. She's great with all people, big and small. She's on her way to get a full vet workup and eventually spayed. She is a full breed Yorkie. So we're looking for a forever home for Ruby. If you're interested in learning more about her, please shout out. Go to goodreadsguardian.org or hit me up on social. I can get you more information. And if nothing else, please share her because she certainly is deserving of a forever home. All right, Clint, what's coming up?
I'll say this. She looks like somebody that you can definitely watch a Dodger game with.
Well, I mean, I don't know what she's watching. Well, she's actually not watching, but her foster was watching something. So just take that screen and put a Dodger game on and just snuggle up with little Ruby, and you'll have a Dodgers viewing partner for life. Okay, before we talk about what's coming up on All Dodgers, how about the stadium, the most beautiful stadium in all the land? Dodger Stadium's looking good, and I have to be honest, Clint, when I knew that they were going to do an additional $100 million renovation to the third oldest stadium in the major leagues, I was like, how is this bad boy going to be done by opening day? But look at that. The grass is down. It looks gorgeous. Thank you so much to Vast Sky Media for this drone footage. We appreciate you guys. How beautiful is this stadium?
Yeah, this is something. When I see that, you shouldn't get excited to see grass. What is that? It's as exciting as watching paint dry or watching grass grow. But when you're watching sod get laid down at Dodger Stadium, that is cool. That is fun. Of course, doing all their top dressing, getting some sod down, getting the watering, getting that settled in, all the seats back in, because all of that stuff, all the seats you guys see on the screen, if you're watching, all of that was gutted. Everything was gutted down to the roots. They were under the stadium, expanding the home and visitor dugout, bringing the latest and greatest of technology there to the stadium, because it only helps the Dodgers in one, get their players better, but two, also in recruiting. Not that they need a whole lot to help bring people to Dodger Stadium or putting on that Dodger uniform, but to get the best of the best when it comes to the technology in there, batting cages, the pitching lab, everything, or whatever. Having Mark Pryor have a pitching lab at home is going to go a long way for this team.
Well, having a woman with the brilliance and foresight like Janet Marie Smith, who is the VP of development with the Dodgers, who has had her hand in so many different beautiful ballparks, including Camden Yards and Baltimore and many others. She has had this unbelievable ability to keep a park. It feels like sometimes when you walk into Dodger Stadium and you turn a certain way, you feel like you're walking into the stadium for the first time in 1962. But it also has yes, I know, Joe, when the kids say go touch grass, I wish I could go touch that grass, no doubt. But it also has the modernization of being in, not even 2025, being more like in 2030 with all the different amenities. And it's truly one of the most beautiful parks in all the land. I highly hope that everybody has an opportunity to go watch a game at Dodger Stadium. All right, what's coming up on your show?
Tonight I will be live as usual, 6 p.m. Pacific time, unless I decide to do a different time. As of right now, we're doing these shows at 10 a.m. I really don't know what the show's going to be about, but come hang out. That's what I would tell people to do. I have a lot more time and ability to kind of get into comments there, and we just touch on everything, all the latest that's going on with your Los Angeles Dodgers. And Alanna, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I have an idea, because obviously if we're going out to Arizona, I can't just give up on my channel while while we're out there. So I had an idea, and now that we're talking about it publicly, you're going to look like the rude one if you say no. But what I want to do is I want to ask people on my channel, and even from our show here, I have a voicemail hotline for my channel. What I would like to do is have people call in, leave us questions, comments, thoughts, and all that kind of stuff on the voicemail hotline. And then I'm thinking you can finally make your All Dodgers debut. We can answer fans from the voicemail hotline on a video on my channel. What do you think about that?
I'm in. Totally in.
So guys, check out my channel. That's where you can get the phone number, all that kind of stuff. We'd appreciate it if you would contribute to the voicemail bag that will be happening next week. We also appreciate if you guys give this video a thumbs up, hit that like button, share it, tell your grandma, tell your dog's friends about Dodgers territory, and subscribe.
And tell your grandma and your grandma's friends about Ruby on Last Licks.
Yes.
All right, that's going to do it. We'll be back on Monday from Glendale, Arizona. Go Dodgers.
Bye.